Hi, it's Gerard OD here, Director of Training from Dynamis, and today I want to take you through some ideas that we cover with our training staff on the courses we run for care homes, where they look after older people, perhaps with dementia in care. Now, this idea I want to talk about today is called bathing without a battle. And although I'm going to talk about it, the vast majority of the work that's been done on this was done by number of nursing professionals in the US who studied for well over a decade the various approaches that care assistants and caregivers have to successfully giving personal hygiene and skincare to older people in care, perhaps in situations where those people are becoming distressed. And the book is available on Amazon and places like that. You can go ahead and get one for your training library, and I would highly recommend that. But right now, I'm going to just go through a couple of the key ideas that book postulates, and see if we can stimulate some conversation through that. So one of the first things that the research has found, of course, and we know this as a training company from going around to many different care services all over the UK, is that care assistants and caregivers consistently find that bathing is one of those flashpoints that they have in terms of conflict and combative behavior with their residents. This is one of the times that we, as a company who teach physical intervention, we get called in to talk about how the staff can manage these situations all the time. But the first thing we need to talk about is why the client or the resident is becoming stressful at these times. One of the really interesting things that this program goes into is our thoughts about what being clean really means and what bathing has meant to people down through the ages. So we go through some of these pictures and stories here that I'm going to show you right now. Um, for example, this woman who's giving her young child a bath inside the sink. It's probably in the bathroom of their house, but it's the most convenient and easy way for her to get the child clean. So there you go. There she is. And of course, we know that for many years, the way that people became clean and got clean was they used a big steel tub in the front room with the fire lit, and they had one amount of water poured in there, and it was a communal bathing experience. So everybody shared the water, and this is how most people decades ago would have had their experience of getting clean. It might not have been that pleasant, but perhaps that's part of the key issue here, is that we all have different experiences of what bathing means, and for some of us it's positive, and for some of us it's negative, and for some of us we've never had a shower before, or our preferred method of getting clean is just with a soapy face cloth in front of a sink. So that's one of the key issues, is to try and change some of the perceptions around what does clean mean, and what is the most effective way to get somebody clean, and we have to talk about those things. The next one is that we have to make sure that the environment we're doing the bathing in is actually attractive to the person that we're bringing into that environment. So, all five senses are engaged all the time, and when somebody is being asked to go for a bath, what they see, what the environment looks like, what they can hear, whether it's loud, noisy, or there's lots of interruptions, what that environment smells like, and how it feels to their physical touch. All of those things, all five senses really are engaged, and if it's not a pleasant environment, if it's not a secure and comfortable environment, then of course we're going to get resistance when we ask the person to go there. So we spend time on our courses talking to the staff and exploring with them what their bathing environments look like, feel like, and sound like, and we elicit some great suggestions from the staff about how they can start to improve those environments to make them more attractive. The idea here is that when an older person is asked to go to a bath, they perceive it as a spa-like experience and not as some kind of um, negative or aversive type of experience that they really wouldn't want to get involved with. You see, the bathing experience should be person centered, in fact, person directed. Um, through knowledge of that person's life history, their own preferences, their wants and desires, things they're afraid of, things they don't want, and so on. And so we've got to craft a bathing experience that is attractive to our residents rather than just, just getting them clean or submitting them to a task that we do to them. It's got to be more cooperative, and it's got to be more collaborative experience. Interestingly, one of the key discoveries that the team working on Bathing Without a Battle found was that a covered in-bed massage bath was one of the easiest ways that the caregivers described to get their residents clean, and it also was reported as one of the ways that tended to keep their residents more relaxed and more cooperative during the cleaning and washing experience. So that's something called a covered in-bed massage bath, which is detailed in great amounts of with great amounts of information in that book, Bathing Without a Battle. And I believe they even have a DVD that demonstrates the method for those of you who want to go ahead and look at that. Engaged communication is so important here as well. One of the key flashpoint moments is at the very, very beginning of this process, at the invitation to the bath. So how carefully staff can approach the resident and introduce the idea that it's time for them to go and be clean, that is a really key moment. And something that we discuss with a lot of our care staff is that initial greeting and that initial broaching of the subject, and whether or not that person feels that they can connect on a human level with the person who's asking them this. So it links into, some of you might have seen a new program in the NHS called Hello, My Name Is, which has been kicked off by a doctor called Kate Granger. And her point really was that if we try to just do the basic things about introducing ourselves correctly and matching the pace of our activity with our residents and patients, that perhaps we'll get better results and we'll have more compassionate care. And certainly at the beginning of a bathing process, we really need to have that established. At the complete opposite end of that, and in contrast to it, is what was described as non-engaged communication. So that's when care staff are perhaps just talking amongst themselves, not really engaging with the client about her needs or wants, and sort of seeming to be quite distant, although doing something quite intimate with the resident. And of course, that increases stress and probably results in some level of resistance or combativeness. Now, we've seen this ourselves in some care services that we've visited, is that the rigid policies that are in place sometimes really make it difficult for individual carers and teams of carers to come up with person-directed plans for bathing with particular residents. So some care homes will have strict plans about and directives about bathing or showering, or the days of the week when that happens, or the times of the day when that happens. And only when we start to become more flexible with that and really try to apply person-directed ideas and principles to this bathing task, then that's when we're going to start seeing a reduction in those battles that happen around bathing time. Interestingly, the research seems to point to 3 different areas of focus where we can gain a lot of insight into why we have patients and residents who are being resistant at bath time. And those 3 things were pain, cold, and fear. And the suggestion is that if we can focus on identifying the causes of pain, the sources of cold and changes in temperature during the bathing, and then try to identify what is it that's perhaps causing some fear in our residents, then if we can focus on those 3 key areas, we should see a reduction in the level of combativeness and resistance at that invitation to the bath. So those are some of the key ideas today. The key tips that came out of the research were things about covering the residents comprehensively, washing single areas at a time and then moving on, timing the bath, and choosing the right moment to do it. And of course, that key idea about pace and moving slowly. So that's as quick as I can. That's an introduction to our module on bathing without a battle. As I say, all of the ideas we use there are taken primarily from the book called Bathing Without a Battle, which I could recommend to you. We also mix it with our conflict management material about interpersonal relationships and so on. But nevertheless, I hope this chat was useful to you today. If some of the ideas might be interesting to you to pursue a little bit further, then give us a call. Our number's on screen right now, and you'll find an email address on our website, www.dynamis.training, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you about how we can bring our safe caring and our safe holding courses to your team and to your to safeguard your residents. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you soon.